Being able to deal with uncomfortableness is important too. It's all a choice. Everything's a personal choice. The key is to be relaxed, to be calm. We've been programmed to see ourselves as separate. So how much thinking have you done since episode 2 about what the topic was there, about how we're all God? All of us are God. We're not a part of God. We're not made in God's image. We are God. Have you thought about what that feels like? When you start to think about it, how do you feel? What comes up for you? Denial? No, that can't be true. Or you're trying to jump her on. Try it on, see what the belief feels like. Stay in it for an hour, a day, a week. You don't have to go around telling everybody what you're doing. Just do it. It's your own personal experiment. We're never truly alone. We're never really disconnected. Because being one with all things means we are connected at all times. So why do we feel disconnected? Why do we feel alone? Because we think we are. We've been programmed to see ourselves as separate from the people around you, separate from everything. So then we feel isolated. The moment we feel isolated, we're easier to control. So what's the answer to this? We know what the problem is. We know how we feel. We know the things that we're experiencing. What's the solution? Where do I go from here? Well, we start to reconnect. We start doing little things to reconnect. Become aware of what's going on around you. Develop your awareness. So you can start to see what's going on energetically. You sense what's coming on around you. You start to pick things up. Not right or wrong, you just start to notice stuff. And as you start to notice stuff, you start to build your own trust. It's not about having to reach out and trust other people. It's not about connecting with other people. It's actually about how we're feeling about ourselves. Because remember, as one with all things, as omnipotent, we're equally present at all places at all times with everybody and everything, then we're not ever disconnected. So we can just relax, say, okay, this is the person I need to be comfortable with. This is the person I need to be connected with is here. So you start to ask yourself some questions. Ask yourself how you're feeling. It doesn't matter what answer you come up with. It doesn't matter. The main thing is you start to listen to yourself. You start to ask yourself questions, any questions, and then you listen to the answer. The more you listen to the answer, the more aware you are of what's actually going on for you. So how does that transition into feeling healthy again and connected and in sync with life? Well, it takes time. We have to build those muscles. It doesn't happen in a big bang or in a big moment. It usually happens with small progress over time. So if you're in a dark place right now, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just say to yourself, I'm actually choosing to experience a dark moment right now. And that's okay. Allow yourself to be in that place. I'm not saying stay in that place. So you're not fighting the situation. You're actually accepting it. What has us be separate to everything else is we start the fight. That fight is energy into separation. So how do we change that? Well, we start to accept. We start to accept us. We start to accept people in. That stops separation. It becomes oneness. So we look at what's around us and we start to become aware of what's actually happening for me right now. Often when we're depressed, it's like we can't see what's going on out there. Great. Well, let's focus on self. So connectedness. Connectedness is something we're really lacking in the world today. You know, we're busy with our phones and we're busy with texting, and which is not communication. We're busy doing all these other things instead of actually connecting with people. Going and knocking on the neighbour's door and talking to them. Saying hi to someone as you walk past them. Don't try and start a conversation. Just say hi. No expectations. There's no right and wrong. If they get upset and don't want to say hi back, great. Say hi to the next person. Open a door for somebody. Doesn't matter whether they appreciate it or not. We're not doing it for them. We're doing it for ourselves. They're the beneficiaries of our goodwill, but we're doing it for us, to help strengthen ourselves, to help develop our own belief in ourselves, our own acceptance of the fact that we are able to follow through and do what we say we're going to do. That's how we know we start to trust ourselves, when we can do that. The feeling of one with all things. Have you ever felt it? Have you been in that moment where you just feel completely connected? You feel in the zone and it's all happening, and then it disappears. You think, what happened? How do I recreate that? How do I keep that alive in my life? And then we continually spend our life looking and trying to recreate that. Well, I'm going to share something with you that's quite startling. The thing about one with all things is we are already one with all things. You let that sink in for a moment. We are already one with all things. What's happened is we've had all this programming dumped in on us. Programming that we're not good enough, that we're not okay, that we're a loser, etc., etc. You know what I'm talking about. That programming has us think like we're not one with all things, that we're actually not connected with the universal source. It has us think that we have to perform, that we have to get to a certain level before we're acceptable. That's what we're taught. We're taught that if we be a good person, we'll end up in this lovely place forever. The thing is, we're in that place right now. And Jesus said that. The kingdom of God is within you. But people are looking out there for it. So here's an example. I wear glasses. Let's say I put them down and I go about my work and I forget where I put them. And I go looking for them. I look for them everywhere. I look for them out in the car. I look for them all around the house. I can't find them. I'm getting frustrated. I think, oh my God, I have to buy a new pair of glasses. Someone knocks at the door. I open the door. It's a friend. And I said, oh, he says, you look a bit stressed. And I said, yeah, I am really stressed. And he said, what's wrong? I said, I can't find my glasses anyway. And he just starts laughing. I go, no, it's not funny. No, really, it's not funny. He goes, no, it is really funny. I said, why do you think it's funny? He says, they're on your head, you drongo. I go, oh, yeah, here they are. Now, do you think I could ever find my glasses out there if they're up here? Do you think? No, of course I can't. But we spend our life looking out there for that feeling of one with all things. We look to try and recreate it out there instead of looking for it in here. This is where it is. I'm feeling one with all things. I'm feeling one with everything out there. But we're looking out there to have us feel one with all things in here. Does that make sense? So how do we go about having that feeling all the time? Well, we have to start sloughing off this programming. We have to start peeling it back one by one. Now, I don't recommend people go out there and do a whole lot all at once. Don't try and go at it like a bull at a gate, because you know what? That's suffering. That's called suffering. You know, trying to do a whole lot of healing all at once, it actually becomes quite arduous. You know, a whole lot of stuff comes up and you have to deal with it all at once. It requires a very strong and a very secure person to be able to handle that. Most people just aren't in that place. You know, they've suppressed it for a long time, and you know, just let things bubble up and deal with it as it bubbles up. That's the universe saying you're now ready to deal with this thing now because it's now bubbling up. So we're all on a journey. You know, we've been taught to get to the end of this journey, but is there an end to this journey? Well, perhaps not. Perhaps that's not what it's about. Perhaps it's all about just coming home, which is having that feeling of one with all things constantly, 24/7, 365 days a year. Is that possible? Sure it is. You just have to learn how to stop reacting. Stop getting involved in all the drama that's out there. Being able to be in our own space. Be compassionate. Be empathetic. So I'm not saying we're separate from everything out there, because then we're not one with all things anymore. So we have to view everything that's going on out there and everybody and everything as us. That's what one with all things means, isn't it? We're all connected. Or maybe you're thinking, no, we're all part of the same whole, but we're separate parts. Really? I don't know. What about the ocean? Is every drop in the ocean, is it separate? Is it a part of the ocean? Or is it the ocean? Is every drop that's in the ocean just called the ocean? And it's only us that has us want to separate that drop out. for its own uniqueness, because that's the drop I put in there. Well, the thing is, one with all things is one with all things. And you can't talk yourself out of it. We can believe that we're something different, and then it's a matter of changing that. So here's what I do. I go out and I build my inner strength, my inner security. And I do it a step at a time. I do it with little things to start with. So one particular first step could be just taking small steps, not big steps. Don't try and do a whole lot at once. It's like going to the gym. The first time you go to the gym, you see these people lifting all these heavy weights. You think, gee, that's really great. You go up there and you try that, you'll do yourself an injury. Now you go up there and you start with small weights and you need slow repetition, and then you build it up until in the end you're lifting those heavy weights and it's not a big deal. So it takes time. And a lot of people aren't spiritually fit. What does that mean? Well, it's being able to handle all the stuff that comes to us every day, all the stuff that's going on in our life. How well are we handling that? If we're not handling it particularly well, we're not spiritually fit. It's like physically fit. You go up the stairs and you're starting huffing and puffing, you've got to wait halfway up to continue. The same thing, you're not physically fit. Same thing with being spiritually fit. So spiritually fit, how do we get spiritually fit? Well, it's not that hard actually. It's just doing small steps, one step at a time. So one of the ways you can start off is setting yourself small tasks and then completing them. Not a big task. We often go and set a big task, and then when we don't achieve it, we see ourselves as a failure, which reinforces whatever programming you have. The small step could be something really simple, like saying, you know what, I'm going to do this right now, and then do it right now. Then you say, now I'm going to hop out of bed at this particular time. Hop out of bed at that particular time. Along the way, you'll feel uncomfortable. So being able to deal with uncomfortableness is important too. Uncomfortableness is actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Uncomfortableness means you're on the edge of your comfort zone. That's all it means. That's where the growth happens, is on the edge of our comfort zone. Not in the middle of it. That's safety. In the middle of your comfort zone is safety. On the edge of your comfort zone is growth. So we want to be out on the edge. Not over the edge, on the edge. Start to build your level of comfortableness with uncomfortableness. Oh, it sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? Maybe put a different sock on first in the morning. Maybe try something different, like a different toilet cubicle at work. We all have our favourite toilet cubicle, right? Well, go try a different one. Maybe walk this way instead of that way around the block. Just do something a little bit different. Maybe move around your normal daily routines. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel weird. And then do it until it feels comfortable. Then switch it back again and see if that feels uncomfortable. So now all of a sudden you start to put your right sock on first, and that feels uncomfortable, whereas that used to be comfortable. Now you're starting to understand that. Oh, okay, I got that. So swap it around and just start to realise being uncomfortable means that I'm actually growing. That's what it means. Now, there's a difference there between something where you feel uncertain or you pick up a bad feeling about something. You want to learn to trust your gut feeling. So that's another thing too, is developing your awareness. By going out there and just being aware of what's happening around you, learning to trust your gut feeling, your intuition or your women's intuition or your hunch, your inspiration or your ESP, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's our psychic sensitivity picking up things for ourselves. So if you pick up something, like let's say you're leaving in the morning, it's a nice shiny day, and you think yes, and then you get this idea to take your umbrella. Now, the next thought that pops in is, oh, don't be silly, it's a bright shiny day. You don't need to be carrying that around with you all day. So 4 o'clock comes, you're getting ready to go home, and the skies open up and it's raining and you get wet. And then on the way home, you're thinking, oh, I had an idea to bring my umbrella this morning and I forgot, or I talked myself out of it. So next time, take the umbrella. Now you take the umbrella and then it doesn't rain all day and you think, oh, silly me, I took my umbrella, I didn't need it. No, maybe you might have needed it, or maybe it's just an opportunity for you to start to trust yourself more. So start to work with those little inspirations and those little ideas and suggestions that pop in your head. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. So by being aware of what's going on around you, being sensitive to those little inspirations, you start to build up your inner security. You start to learn to trust yourself, and you start to learn to know that you are accountable, that you can rely on yourself, that when you say you're going to do something, you go ahead and do it. That is so important. In spiritual work, if you don't have that, then you really don't have much at all. Because spiritual work's all about ourself. It's all about coming back home to being one with all things. Well, that has to be with us too. So if we're not trusting ourselves, we're trying to separate ourselves from ourselves. We don't trust other people out there if we don't trust ourselves. And the more we trust ourselves, the more we trust people out there. The more we work on ourselves, the more we're okay with what's going on out there. Well, why is that? Because everything out there is just a reflection of us. That's how it works. That's how I know what's the next thing that I need to work on. In what out there am I noticing that's irritating me, annoying me, disturbing me? Or maybe I just notice something and I'm okay with it. That all means something. When I notice something and it upsets me, then I also have that thing that I've noticed. I know. So part of being one with all things is being able to be responsible for ourselves, is knowing that I'm the causation in my life. Everything happens in my life, I'm the cause of it. Does that mean that I go out and I organise someone to do harm to me? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I allowed myself to be in the wrong place at the wrong time instead of the right place at the right time. So the little voices, the suggestion in your head that said, go to work this way this time, or maybe don't go do that thing, or maybe blah, 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 blah. And then it's ignored. And the process of ignoring it, you end up at the wrong place at the wrong time, and then something happens. Is the person who did the harm to you accountable? Of course they are. They're accountable for what they did. I'm accountable for what I do. So if I put myself at the wrong place at the wrong time, that's on me. That's not on somebody else. Now, it takes a whole lot of levels of inner security to get to that particular place. If you're not in that place yet, that's okay. Just pop that one up on a mental shelf and just leave it there. Because further down the track, that will be a piece of the puzzle that you'll go, oh, that's what that piece was all about. Oh, now I understand that what that means about being responsible for myself. No one else is responsible for me, and no one else is responsible for you. So every time you hear yourself blaming someone, it's you're not owning something. It's their fault. Why? How can it be their fault? And remember, we're one with all things. So if we're one with all things, pointing a finger at someone else, what am I really saying? Well, it's me, because I'm one with all things. So as you start to build up that level of inner security, you'll be able to tackle more things. Not more things all at once. I mean, the next thing and the next thing. And you'll also be able to tackle the deeper things that you've been unwilling to look at this particular point. So it's a journey. That journey, does it have an end? Yeah, it does actually. The end is the feeling of one with all things. It's not a whole lot of levels or a whole lot of whatever further down the track. Our involvement is moving from where we started with all these programs and all these ideas and beliefs that have been given to us basically from birth, really our first 7 years. The journey is about removing all of that, having an impact with the community around me, and getting to the place of being one with all things. That's the journey. It's not getting to a certain place where I'm going to be rewarded or whatever. No, that's other people telling us what we need to be doing. And that's not how it works. It's all our own journey. We can come back and we can reincarnate as many times as we like. That's a personal choice. You might get that feeling of one with all things, early on in life and then decide to leave. That's okay. Or you might decide to hang around and teach other people how to do it. That's okay too. It's all a choice. Everything's a personal choice. Okay, so let's talk about the voices and the inspirations and the guidance we get inside our head, which we calling our intuition. Well, that's actually our spiritual helpers. So our spiritual helpers are souls that have decided to work with us and to support us, give us direction, protection, support. It's all about making our life a bit easier. So the Bible actually says, if we listen to our angels once in 1,000 times, they'll lead us the way of rightness. So once in 1,000 times. So our spiritual helpers are giving us up to 50 inspirations or suggestions every single day. Now if you work that out, that's about one every 20 minutes. How many do you listen to? Well, the Bible says if you listen to them once in 1,000 times, that's once every 20 days. So if we listen once in 20 days, we'll have a good life. What would happen if you listened to them once a week? What would happen if you listened once a day? Well, they're the people that change the planet. People listen to once a day. You start listening to once an hour, wow, you can have a really great life. So the thing is being able to increase our hit rate, increase the ability, our own ability to be able to hear those suggestions from our spiritual helpers, and then, of course, to act on them. There's no good just hearing them, they're not acting. It's about hearing and acting. So how can we get ourselves in a place where we pick up more inspirations, we pick up more suggestions and more ideas from our spiritual helpers? Well, it's being calm. When we're upset, our spiritual helpers can't get close. When we're upset, our aura is shrunken, it's heavy, it doesn't have the kind of energy in it that we need to be happy, and our spiritual helpers are all the way over there. The more relaxed we are, the closer our spiritual helpers can come to us. And when we're really relaxed, they come so close, we get goosebumps. So have you had goosebumps for no apparent reason? If you're in a warm room and you walk outside and it's cold, you get goosebumps, that's because you're cold. But if you're in a warm room and someone's talking, or you listen to a podcast and you suddenly get goosebumps, that's your spiritual helpers physically touching you. So they touch you, and their energy gives your energy an extra boost of energy. In fact, as a soul, we are 4 watts of energy. Science has been able to show that. So we're 4 watts. That's who we are. So we are our soul. We don't have a soul. We are the soul. And this is our physical body, and this is where we live. So this is my physical body, and I live in it. And I look after it because that's the place I live. If I don't look after it, well, it won't last as long as I want it to. So it's a good idea for me to look after it. So I'm 4 watts of energy, and I live in my physical body. And what radiates out, that 4 watts, when it radiates out, we call that our aura. That's what glows. So our spiritual helpers have graduated from planet Earth and become one with all things. And they elected to come and support us with our particular journey through planet Earth. So they're actually 4 watts plus because they're refining their vibration. So it's the plus part that when they come close to us, that's what gives our electrical system an extra boost of energy. Now, depending where you get goosebumps, is depending which particular spiritual helper's touching you. And how many do we have? Well, we have a team. Some of us have 1, some have 2, some have more. Now, if you have 3 or more spiritual helpers, then that means you've come here to work with people. Because people are fickle. People have free will. And sometimes it's like herding cats when you're working with people. You know, they're all doing their own thing, and it's legitimately. And so by trying to coordinate, make it happen, you need extra help. So you have extra spiritual helpers. So spiritual helpers are here to make our life more easy, to make things flow. They set up opportunities for us. They line things up. We know what we want. We set our goals. We write them down. Now spiritual helpers know what we want. They go out there to help set that up for us. The thing is, there's truth in all things, but no one thing has all the truth. So what that means is, no matter what anybody says to me out there, there's truth in it. Some of them might be hurtful, some might be really inspiring, but there's truth in everything. So what I do is I shelve everything up there. I pop it up on my mental shelf. So people say all this stuff out there, I pop it up there. People say, how do you know all this stuff? Well, because I didn't reject it all. If you watch how you listen with other people, do you find yourself just rejecting stuff? You're judging it and rejecting it. Judge, reject, judge, reject, judge, reject. Or you have a conversation, it just flows, and they're agreeing with you, you're agreeing with them. Well, nothing's changing. All you're doing is just letting each other know you know the same stuff. That's not helpful either. Remember where the growth is. Growth is on the edge of your comfort zone. Well, it's not comfortable out there. So when people are sharing stuff with us, sometimes what we're hearing is not comfortable to hear. And that's okay, but don't reject it. Now, sometimes people are saying stuff to me and I know it's just not true. I know there's no truth in everything they're saying. Sometimes when people are saying things to me, I know that some of what they're saying is just not true. It doesn't mean I reject the whole thing. I go looking for the truth. Now, in a moment, I pop it all up on a mental shelf to deal with later. I don't have to deal with it right then and there. because I get involved in a reaction situation. So I pop it on my mental shelf and I deal with it later. I think actually what that person was telling me, which part's true and which part isn't. Now in that situation, I work closely with my spiritual helpers, because sometimes I may not want to see or hear something that I really need to see and hear. So I ask my spiritual helpers for indication of what's the truth and what's not. And then I find out, okay, that part's the truth, that I'll take on board, I'll learn for that. That might be not a pleasant truth, but it's still the truth. And I'll take that on board and I'll work with it. The other stuff, I realise it's just them projecting onto me. It's not me at all. So I just put that aside. I take that out of my mental shelf and I get rid of it. Because that's not to do with me. That's to do with somebody else. It's to do with the person who's talking. And that's okay. It's okay for them to have that opinion of me, or it's okay for them to think that way. They have every right to do that. I'm not running around trying to fix the way other people think of me. That's a waste of time. The item that's important there is what I think of me. Do I love myself? Do I even like myself? That's a good question, isn't it? So if you say, do I like myself, and you're not really sure, that'd be a good place to start too. So I used to sing this little ditty to myself, and I did this for a long time. Here's how it goes. I like myself, I love myself, I like myself, I love myself, I like myself, I love myself, I like myself, I love myself. I used to play around and have a lot of fun with that. I'd sing it out loud, I'd sing it in my head. And initially I had trouble with it. I couldn't get the words out. And if that's you, that's okay. Just keep practicing. Just keep saying it over and over and over. Over and over and over and over. And then you get to the point where you can at least say it and you start to feel comfortable with it. As you're doing those things, things will pop up for you too. Like reasons why you shouldn't love yourself. Make a note of that. Don't have to write it down somewhere. Just, oh, that's interesting. Maybe one of them you might want to deal with it in that moment. That's okay. You can do that too. As you're saying, I like myself, I love myself, things might pop up. And if they do, that's okay. You might make a note of it or pop it on a mental shelf to deal with later. And that's okay. If you want to deal with it in a moment, just ask yourself, okay, what is it that's actually coming up? What's at the core of it? Sometimes when people look at that stuff, it's the initial reaction that they're looking at. That's okay. Look at that and then deal with it. Next time it pops up, you might say, well, I thought I dealt with this. Well, you dealt with one aspect of it. Now you're going to deal with another aspect of it. And that's called the layers. So one particular concept can have multiple facets to it. Here's an example to help you understand what I'm talking about. A tree has a trunk. It grows out of the ground and it's singular. Then it branches out. Then those branch out. And then there's leaves at the end of those branches. When people are doing healing, a lot of the time they're dealing with the leaves. And they think that's it. And it's not. And it's not the twig holding the leaf either. And it's not the branch holding the twig. It's actually the bottom of the trunk. So the trunk, that singularity thing, that's the thing we want to end up getting to. There's a whole lot of peripheral stuff around there that's hooked on to or supportive of that trunk belief. So to get down to the trunk belief and you chop that off, now all those other leaves disappear. So we don't have to spend our whole time dealing with all these little things. The more secure we get, the stronger and the thicker the branch we can deal with, to the point we can end up dealing with the trunk. So healing as a process, it's just a gradual thing that happens. It happens over time. And the more secure we get, the faster we can move. So the key is to be calm. So however you live your life, you want to bring it to the point where you're calm no matter what's happening around you. So there might be people around you who are really upset, and they may be really upset with you. But if you can remain calm, then you can be in that space of doing what you need to do for you and interacting in that situation that best serves the outcome for both of you. So in the ebook, the free ebook on my website, it has a technique called spiritual cleansing. That technique, when you start to use it regularly and consistently, that will bring a calmness to you in your life that you haven't never known. Now, it doesn't matter how advanced you are with your spiritual journey, how far along you are, it doesn't matter. That technique will make a significant difference to how you're progressing along your particular journey. And it'll have things happen in a much shorter period of time. So instead of the healing taking this amount of time, it'll take this amount of time. Because the calmer we are, the more we can see things the way they really are. The other thing that happens too when we're really calm is our spiritual helpers can come in really close. It means we can start to hear them clearly. We can start to feel them by getting the goosebumps. So when we're working on something specific, it's okay to ask your spiritual helpers for help. Say, guidance, I want some help understanding here how I do this. Like, what is it that I'm actually doing here? Can you give me some insights? The moment you ask them those kind of questions, which are very good questions to ask, things will pop up in your life where it's in your face. And there it is right there for you to see what is it you do. That may be people telling you. It might be you're getting upset about something. It might be someone else doing something and you're getting upset about it. And then you ask yourself, do I do that? And the answer you get from your spiritual helpers might be yes. So then you go looking at how you do it. So as you start to explore all these little things, you become more and more secure. And remember what the key is. The key is to be relaxed, to be calm. Because if you're not that, all the other stuff is peripheral. You're just dealing with the damage. You're dealing with the leaves on the outside of the tree that I talked about earlier. So you want to get down to the trunk. The essence of getting down to the trunk, it may take a little time. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Infinity goes for a long time. So don't be in a hurry to sort everything out, okay? The thing I find actually helpful is to recognize that all these things that happen to us in our first 7 years, we call them blockages. Certain beliefs, ways of thinking. So there may be an incident that happened. It might have been something that happened with your mum and dad that you observed. Or it might be something that happened with you specifically. And that's then impacted you in the way you see life. The thing about all these beliefs, or blockages as we call them, that we choose our mother or our father. Sometimes it's both. So if we've chosen mum and dad, then we've chosen our situation. We've chosen the environment that we're growing up in. Now, let's say we choose mum and mum has a certain tendencies of certain things. We say, well, mum's going to teach me those tendencies, good or bad, and I'm going to take them on, good or bad. That's just what happens. We're a sponge in that first 7 years. We absorb the whole lot. We don't differentiate. We haven't developed our intellect to be able to discern what we want and what we don't want. So we take the whole lot on board. So we choose mum knowing that mum's like that. So then we say, okay, well, mum's like that. Then I want those blockages. So as I work through those blockages, I will become the person that I want to be or I need to be to do what I come here to do. So it's like our training ground. It's like we set ourselves up an obstacle course and we say, when I can manage this obstacle course, then I'll be in a place where I can handle my life. And some people get to their 20s and their 30s and their 40s and they're still really struggling with what happened in the first 7 years. They haven't got out of the obstacle course yet. Is that okay? Of course it is. I know people in their 60s and 70s are still struggling inside their obstacle course. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's journey is unique, and it's unique to them, and we don't judge them for what their journey is. Maybe that's what their journey is, being the obstacle course the whole life, and then the next time they come back in, they go, well, now I know not to do that again. Well, I don't know what their journey is. So, you've chosen particular blockages, and then you start working through them. We don't blame mum and dad for what we picked up. That's not their fault. They didn't do that deliberately. They're just living their life. And they working through certain things themselves, and other things they're not working through. They may not be a priority for them this lifetime. And you pick up that blockage, and you decide it is a priority for you this lifetime, that you need to work through that to become the person you need to be. So start working through it. Start identifying what those blockages are, see how they're impacting your life, and then release them. Move on, and then the next one pops up, and then the next one pops up, and then the next one pops up. You don't want to say, oh, they keep popping up, or all these things happen. That's the journey. That's the journey you chose to be a part of. Let's talk about the mum and dad. So sometimes you choose mum, sometimes you choose dad. Sometimes you choose both. Sometimes you don't necessarily choose either. You just need someone to make a physical body for you. Who you really want to be your mum and dad is that couple over there. But they can't conceive kids. So you get born by this couple over here, and then they adopt you out, and you end up over here. It does work like that. We choose mum or we choose dad. So if you are a parent listening to this video, and you've got kids, you might think to yourself, how does that work with my kids? Well, there might be some there that you have as favourites. Let's say you got 4 kids. 3 of them your favourite, the other one's okay, but not really your favourite. But your spouse, it's your spouse's favourite is that one, and that's okay. They all need to be loved. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't love that one. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is you might have favourites. You have an affinity. You have a particular connection with, say, 3 of them or 2 of them or 1 of them. That's because you made a contract with that particular one and they made a contract with you. It's always two-way. So the child selects you and then you agree to it. So if you've got a child who's creating a whole lot of trouble for you, then it's probably because you chose them and said yes to it, because in helping that child grow into the person they need to be, it's really going to help you develop and grow in a way that you wanted to grow, that maybe you didn't get from your mum and dad, so now you're going to get from your child. Nobody's responsible for the other one's growth. So the child's not responsible for your growth, and you're not responsible for your child's growth. They are, even if they're a child. So as a parent, our job is to love them. That's the most important thing. Even if we can't feed them and can't house them, is to love them. Second thing is to feed them. The third thing is to house them. And the fourth thing is to pass on our wisdom to them. Give them the best possible opportunity to make the most out of their life from the stuff that we've learned. Now, it doesn't mean saying, do this, do that, because I made these mistakes, don't you make them. Chances are they'll probably make the same mistakes. But maybe they'll work through them and they'll be complete with those a lot earlier than what you were. Let's say you learned it at 56. They might make the same mistake as you, but they learned it at 26. They're what a head start, hey? So it's all a journey. As a child, if the child's having trouble with mum and dad just needs to be patient because they're working through things. They've had past lives, they've come in, they're working through stuff that they brought from another past lifetime, and they may not have anything to do with you, but they're just working through it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Remember, there's nothing wrong with anything, okay? Everything's okay. There's people out there doing really bad things. Is that okay? Well, I'm okay with it in that I'm not judging it, but do I condone it? Absolutely not. So I don't allow that behaviour into my life. So I put myself in the right place at the right time so I don't encounter that kind of behaviour. I stay away from it. Other people want to get involved in that behaviour. That's up to them. And I don't judge them for doing that either. I don't know why people choose to make decisions they make. That decision's got nothing to do with me. I'm busy making my own, working out and charting my own life. Now, the interesting thing is when you get to that point where you're living your life like that, you attract all these people to you who see that you have something that they want. They see that you have something that is going to help them with their journey, maybe understand things better, or maybe they see you as a role model that they want to emulate. That's what happens. Now, when we're in this quagmire of beliefs and blockages and we're really struggling with our life, people still learn things from us, but they learn it from us as a warning, not as an example. So they might say, gee, I better make sure I keep myself organised and stay directed and focused and whatever, because if I don't, I'll end up like that person. Rather than be an example where they say, wow, that person's got clear direction and they're really focused and they're organised. I want to be like that. And then they come and ask you questions and things. They ask, how do you get to that point? What did you do with your life? Anything you got to share that could really help me? I love doing that. I've done that with people for decades. I sometimes walk up to people and I ask them. Sometimes I'm engaged in a conversation with someone and I may even ask them, is there anything you'd like to share with me that you think may help? Now, at that particular point, the wisdom that comes out of their mouth is usually pretty amazing. I don't do that for everybody, and remember, it's still their opinion. So don't take it on board. If it's something nasty they say, don't take it on board like it's the truth. Pop it on the mental shelf. Leave it there. Let it ruminate for a while while it kind of simmers down and the edge gets taken off, and then go in and have a look at it. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things today in this podcast. We talked about the one with all things, how we can start to move along that particular path. And there's a whole lot of steps there. I haven't shared all of them here because it's an individual journey. It's like, I don't know what your second and third step's going to be. I can guide people. That's what I do. Within our community, there are lots of different paths you can take that's right for you, and you can mix with other people who are on the same path as you, and it can be very helpful. So if you're in a place where you want to take another step, you want to move forward, you're willing to engage in exploring yourself a bit more, or you want to start to feel a bit more secure, and maybe you're feeling like you're really overwhelmed and life's really hard and there's no space for you anymore, then this is also for you. The way this program is structured in just a way that's focused on everybody with where they're at. How does that work? Because we set you up in situations where you're working with your spiritual helpers and they're setting things up in your life where you get to see things for you. So when you're doing a lesson with 4, 5, 10 other people, everyone's reading the same lesson, but when they come back and share in the group, everyone's sharing something different, what they learned. How does that happen? What they got from the lesson is directly as a result of the experience they've had during that week when they're working with that lesson. And so we can listen to what they've all learned, and that helps us understand more that we could have got out of it, or helps us understand our situation better. So there's a lot here for people to really start to understand themselves and to get on top of their life so they can start directing it, having it be creative in a way that you want your life to go, heading in the direction that you want to go, and achieving the things that you want to achieve. And it's a sense of fulfillment will be there along the journey. So I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.